Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, March 10th, 2025. Yeah, March. Yeah. We're into the first week of March already. And, the weather has been good and bad, and it keeps going back and forth. I'm not exactly sure what we're supposed to be having right now. The groundhog said we'd have 6 more weeks of winter, and in the south, that means we end up with cold days with rain, and then a really nice sunny day, and then more cold days, and then more rain. So that's pretty much the norm as it goes right now. But the big question is the time change. I'm glad we did this. The spring forward, of course. Um, Even now, it's like, hey, the sun is still shining, or still daylight as I look out the window of the shop, and last week it would have been dark at this time. So, really do like having this time of year or this time change occur. And I know there's talk in the political realm as to whether this is going to maintain, whether they're going to try to cancel uh, the clock changes from here on out. I don't know. I know for me personally, I'd rather just leave it the same all year round and just deal with it. If it gets dark at 4 o'clock, I don't care. Whatever. Just leave it alone. I don't like doing the back and forth thing. I think it's hard on the body. I know it's hard for me to transition from one time to another. It takes me weeks whenever we do the fall back to for me to acclimate. So anyway, that's just my brief opinion on the whole time change deal that we are in right now. It's been a pretty decent week last week in the shop. I know that you probably saw the video. I continued to do body work or block sanding mostly on the cover jet. I found some issues with the deck lid that I'm dealing with, and that's just part of it. Whenever you're making these projects happen, you have to anticipate that it's not going to be perfect. And even after you do all the work to it, it still may not be perfect. That's okay. It's anything is an improvement in my mind over what the factory did, basically. A lot of these cars, the gaps were not good from the factory. The fit and finish was not good, and they were just pushing these cars out the door, and they didn't care if they were around for 50 years. So we as now custodians of these cars, it's up to us to make them as good as we can. And I don't want to build a car that's going to go to SEMA. I don't want to have the super duper looking whatever, all the options and gizmos and gadgets, and I don't want all that stuff. I want a nice car that looks right and looks better than it did when it left the factory. So I'm going to continue on with the cover jet. I'm hoping that the weather improves a little more. I don't need it to be any colder. I know that. I need it to be 70, 75 degrees, and lower humidity is better. So I am continuing to block sand and do all that sort of thing. Also, I've done a little more on the 68, just some fine tuning here and there to get the panels to work better. And it never fails. I should say never fails. It's always good whenever you do multiple test fits, and each time you test fit, it gets better and better and better and better. At least it does for me. And that's always my goal. I never assume when I'm putting one of these together, hey, I'm just going to boom, 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 start welding. I want to make sure that everything is going to line up, and sometimes you take stuff apart and tweak this part, put it back on. Okay, great. Go to the next one and make sure everything's going to, fit as it should. So right now, everything's looking really, really good on this car. So I'm looking forward to getting more done and getting it closer to, welding it together and all that sort of thing. Okay. Now, I probably should say that if you're new to this live stream, I know I rambled on there for a minute. We do this on Mondays at 7 o'clock, and mostly we talk about cars, probably more Mustangs than anything. And we also try to help each other out with problems or something that needs some assistance. So if you have a question, I encourage you to ask away. get in here and see what we can do to help you out. If I can't answer the question, I normally have a great group of people over in the chat box, and they follow up all the time. So I appreciate everybody being here and participating. So let's see who's here tonight and go down our list. And first one in, checked in early, Rick Gain. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. It looks like StreamYard has updated something, because now that is a lot bigger than it's ever been on my when I click on it. Okay, that's a whole different. I don't know if I can change that or not. That's really big. Rick says over Mom's house tonight, so I don't know if I'll be able to make the live stream live. Hope everybody has a nice time though. Hit the like and thumbs up button. Thank you, Rick. Like I said, he checked in early, so maybe he'll be here, maybe he won't. But now I got to get used. That's a whole different look now. I have not seen that before. So everything is a little bit bigger as well. Even the thumbnail. So Terry Keithley, good spring afternoon, everyone. Please give Barry a thumbs up and like button. Thank you kindly, Terry and Betty and the cats. Thank you for being here, Terry. This is going to take a little getting used to now that it's a lot bigger. When I did this before, I had to like almost squint down a little bit to see what it said. Dave Tyson, good evening all. Evening, Dave. Glad you're here. Steve Reed. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well, and thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Steve. And Steve is from Paducah, Kentucky. I have to say that. Ed Cucciarella. Hello, all. Hello, Ed. This is nice. Now I can see the thumbnails a lot better and what's going on in there. That's pretty cool. David, the bowler hat guy. Hello, all. Good evening, Barry. Beautiful day in Virginia. It's so nice, it almost makes me suspicious. Well, let's hope there's nothing suspicious going on. But always appreciate nice weather. Roger, Hindsight 6'7", greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. Hope all is well. Robert, the Infernal Craftsman. See, now I can actually see your thumbnail. That's pretty cool. Summer has just begun, and misery season is only a month or so off. I'll take it. Nandu. Good evening, Barry and all. Hope you're doing good. Nice weather this week in PA. Well, that's good. I know there was there's been some bad weather in Pennsylvania. You know, I still have family up there. So there's been some ugly weather. So hopefully it continues on and stays that way. As far as good weather, I should say. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. Love your airline installation. Did you post an Amazon link for the kit? I don't know that I actually posted a link anywhere. I think I did on Facebook. I think I did post a link on Facebook. So what Richard is talking about is recently I was spraying in my paint in the paint booth, right? And you know, when this shop was put up back in 96, I think it was 95, 96, I put in Schedule 40 PVC for my airlines. I know, don't do that, right? It's been in here a long time. Schedule 40 PVC, tough stuff. And I had that running all the way across the ceiling and then dropping down and coming into the back wall, going through into the paint booth, and then into my filter system and all that sort of thing. And the more I've done work back there, the more I've been uncomfortable because the PVC is right at my head height. That's where I put it in. And I kept, here lately, I've been thinking about an episode we had at our body shop. The previous operator had put in like 1.5 inch PVC for the airline. And that ruptured one day. And it blew a piece out, stuck it into the ceiling. Loud, decompression of the air compressor, basically. And that's been kind of weighing on my mind a little bit. I'm thinking, if that piece blows apart off the wall and hits me or sticks me in the neck or something, my wife doesn't come out here and check on me. I could just bleed out. So I decided to go with, and I actually have a piece of it here. I guess, I don't know if PEX is a trade name. I don't know, but I'm replacing it with this stuff. So this is 3/4 inch Teflon, I guess Teflon lined. It's aluminum tube with a blue plastic outer coating. So I've already replaced the line. In fact, you can see it right there. There's my air line coming from my air compressor going up and going to the back of the shop. I should point that way. Going to the back of the shop. And I have it plumbed into the paint booth, but I have not completed the plumbing yet. I need a couple more fittings to make it work. But let me tell you, this stuff, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I do have a link. I could probably post a link later on this live stream video. I can go to the description box and post a link for this stuff. But it was like $100. I mean, it was $111 or something for 120 feet of this stuff. I think 4 elbow fittings, 2 T fittings, the cut tool, a bunch of clamps. It was a good deal. So I'll do that, Rich. I'll do that later, Richard. I'll put that on the description. So if people are interested in pursuing that, they can. But yeah, I'm going to get it. The other pieces should show up on Wednesday, so I can finish plumbing everything in the back. But yeah, I'm very happy to have it in place now. So thank you for bringing that up. Rusty's Restoration, hello Barry and all from Southern Indiana. Hope all is well and you're getting closer to paint. Everyone gives a thumbs up. Yes. Yeah, that is the goal, getting close to painting the Cobra Jet. You know, I need to get it done, and I need to have good weather to do it. And it's happening. It's happening. I'm not going to rush anything to make it make it happen. I want to make sure everything's right, and then I'll spray it. Denny Alvey, good evening from Paducah, Kentucky. So there's Denny. Glad you're here, Denny. Daryl is checking in. Good evening, Barry. Evening, Daryl. See, I like that now. I can see the thumbnail and see what's in there. That's pretty cool. Black GTX. Hey, all. Sorry I'm late. Mark, I believe, right? Glad you're here. Daryl, did you think about running a thin layer of filler parallel to the spoiler on the window side of the trunk lid? Wouldn't it be low in between the ball slots after you sand it? Oh, okay. So you're talking about the deck lid on the Cobra Jet. A thin layer of filler parallel to the spoiler. Well, I understand what you're saying. There's not going to be a spoiler on this car, though. So first, let me answer that. There's not going to be no wing, no spoiler on this car. It didn't come with it from the factory. Charles did want to put one on, but since he's not in charge anymore, his wife said, no, we're going back to stock. So I agree, it would not have hurt to put a layer of filler on there. However, there's plenty of primer still, and I feel like I'm going to be priming the whole thing one more time anyway. So I don't think it's going to be a concern. I think I've got everything flattened out right now, but it wouldn't hurt to do a skim coat and then sand that out. You're right. But I feel like the next round of high build will be enough that it'll all flatten out. So it's a great idea, but I think it'll flatten out with the high build. Jerry is checking in from the Muddy Pit. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Glad you're here, Jerry. Robert, probably made it bigger so people watching on phones can read it. Well, that may be too. I don't know. But it's definitely a step up on this print on the bottom now. Jeff Deal, hello from my garage in Chicago, where there are too many projects and not enough space. Great work, Barry. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I know how that is. Jerry's checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. Yeah, I like the new chat bubble. Have a good night. Good night. Good chat night. Sorry, good chat night. Thank you for that. Yeah, okay, chat bubble. There we go. There's a technical name for it, I guess. Hey, Matco Man. Hello, everyone watching and flipping. Glad you're here. Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Rick. And that gives me my first sip of coffee. Good stuff. Biddy Thornburg, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Biddy. That was a gentle bell. Hey, Matt, good man. Hello, everyone. Oh, watching and flipping hamburgers. Okay, that makes more sense now. Not just flipping hamburgers. C&J Hoyt, hello all. Is it PEX A or B? PEX A is the expandable PEX. You know, I don't know. Let me, I know it says it's HDPE aluminum. So I don't know if PEX, if that's a trade name, I don't know. So it's compressed air line kit, HDPE aluminum, HDPE piping. I don't know, leak proof and an easy to install garage and airline kit, shop airline kit. So I don't know. That's all I can see as far as a description on Amazon. So I don't know, like I said, if PEX is a trade name or if it's just a an acronym or something. I don't know. But this stuff comes in a spool. And I thought I would need one of those roller things to flatten it out. And you don't. At least I didn't. I just stretched this out and used the length of it against itself to flatten it out. And so I had no problem straightening out that to make it work. So, but I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know what PEX A or B is. So I'm sorry. Oh, wow. So here is a new name. Goran Sundal. Goran, I guess. I don't know how to say that. Goran Sundal. Hello, Daddy. I'm from Sweden. You have a good YouTube. Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're on the live stream. I don't know how to say that. Goran, but I'm glad you're here, regardless. Bob Shoemaker, evening from Oklahoma. Evening, Bob. And Robert says, it's PEX, AL PEX. Okay. I don't know what the difference is. So I'll take your word for it. Dave Conville, good evening. Evening, Dave. See, now I can see the cat in his thumbnail bubble thing. Travis, good evening all. Hope you have a great night. Hug your family every time you get a chance. Thank you, Travis. My number one patron. Thank you. That's a good point. And I do that. That's a very good point. And I will say that every time that I see my kids, my grandkids, family, yes, they always get a hug. And they always do. Tell them I love them, because I do. Yep. I do all that stuff. Everybody should be doing that. Rick Hawley, Rick from Columbus, Ohio, great work and info. Are you going to sell the other 69 you picked up a while back? I do not plan to, Rick, but I'm glad you're here. The 69, the one I'm calling my Mach 1, is going to be my car to drive. So I had Jade, as everybody should know, and I sold Jade. I guess it's been about a week now. So Jade is no longer here. And the car that's replacing that will be the 69 Mach 1. And since you brought it up, I want to show you something. I just got this in the mail today. And this is my replacement for Jade, let's say. This is, I thought this was cool. I found this on eBay. It's a company called Norev, Norev. And apparently these are made in France. So this is a 1/43rd scale Mustang. And it's not 100% accurate to what Jade was, because obviously they're not going to sell it in a Gulfstream Aqua. This is like the lime gold color that I like. And Jade, when it was original, had a black vinyl top. And of course, when I sold it, it had these same kind of wheels on it. But this is a really cool little die cast. Very well made, well detailed. And the only thing is, I would like to paint the interior because it's like, brown. But I may, I don't know. I don't know if I take it apart and paint the inside. So if you're looking for one of these, it's hard to find a coupe, especially a 68. You can find a 65, 6, whatever, but the 68 is really hard to find. So this is my little Jade replacement. But anyway, yeah, I do not. At this point, I do not plan to sell the 69 that I'm going to be building. That's going to be for me. But if I do, everybody will know because it'll be advertised. But thanks for asking. I don't know if I gave you a bell or not. You get a bonus bell. Michael Pagliarini, evening all. Evening, Michael. Ronald Alcorn, good evening all. Good evening, Ronald. Okay, C&J. Okay, PEX waterline is what they use in homes. All right. Yeah, this is, I assume, not technically for water lines. I don't know. Real nautical fishing. Hey, Barry and all. Quick question. What do you use for welding wire size? And do you change depending? Can't remember if you had it in a video. Hope all is great in Georgia. Thank you, Real. Okay, so on light gauge steel, and I don't know that I like with this being this big. It's hard to see around it. Let me pull that down. So as far as welding wire, so for something heavy like rocker panels to the inner rockers, I'm going to use 30,000s. Anything that's kind of like frame related, like the frame rails into the floor supports, 30,000s. Everything else that's a sheet metal like this, I can use 30. I prefer 023 or 024 or whatever it is, just because I have a little more control over the feed. Meaning, if I'm using 30, that's a big wire and it's filling up pretty quick. And so sometimes you end up, if you're filling a hole, you might fill the hole and not really get all of the contact area. So with a slightly smaller wire, as I do, a lot of times I start on the edge of the hole and I'll burn all the way around and spiral back to the center. And that way I know that I've caught the whole edge of the hole and then everything's connected. But with a 30, sometimes you start feeding that wire and it fills up and you may not get it all into the radius like you want. So it's just a habit thing, a finesse thing. You could do everything with 30,000s. You can fine tune your welder to those sizes, but for me I prefer 30 for the heavier stuff, and then 023 or 024 whatever the size is for plug welds and such. So hope that answers your question. That's a good question. Extra bell. Richard Byrne, good evening. Just came in from block sanding my 66 GT. One more coat of primer, and after some more fun sanding, ready for base coat. Awesome. Always fun. Robert, it's a version of the Pexel PEX that is used for heating systems that has been tested and certified for use with air. Okay. See, I don't know anything about it. All I know is it said it was for air, and I knew it looked good. I've seen other people use it, but that makes sense now. It is. I mean, it's Teflon lined. It's pretty tough stuff. Jerry, has anyone did a full frame install on a classic Mustang? So you're talking like a hot rod shop or whatever they are. The I don't know who makes them now. Fat Man Customs, I think, used to make something. But I think Hot Rod, is there one called Hot Rod Shop that makes a full frame? I haven't, but I don't know if anybody else has or not. Maybe we'll get some input on that. Robert, I used PEX for mine because I had it on hand and the current stuff wasn't on the market. Fitting for air systems for regular PEX are kind of a pain to get what you want for an air system. Yeah, and you know um, hold on a second. I want to show you the fittings that they provide for this kit. So like you get 4 of these elbows. Now this is a big piece. This is some industrial hardware. It's got a collar on it. I gotta pull that down. It's taking up too much of my screen. So it's got a collar on it, and there's an internal collar, sleeve, and then this thing has 2 O-rings on it. So what you end up doing, there's a special tool. I don't know where it's laying. It's somewhere in here, but it's a special tool that has a male end that fits inside of this diameter, and it has 2 cutting blades on it. And so when you rotate it around, it radiuses the inside of the Teflon, and it also smooths off the blue a little bit. So the reason for that is when you cut this off, the Teflon is a sharp edge. And whenever you start putting this together, it will peel off that O-ring. It'll want to make it come off. So when it puts that nice soft radius inside of that, this will just slip right on to those 2 O-rings. And of course, you have the collar and the inner, whatever you want to call it, sleeve. They come all together and then tighten it all up. So I like it a lot. This system is to me is well designed. And I got it together last night and had a friend over, and he was cycling the air valve for me, and I only had I think 1 leak, and it wasn't anything bad. It was there on the I don't have one to show you, but on the mount boss, you can just see it right there where the line comes into it. It's a boss that has an opening in the back, an opening in the front, opening at the bottom. And so you got to put a brass plug in there. And I did not have Teflon on that one plug, so it was leaking air past that. And also this may help maintain a better air pressure, because I was using 1/2 inch before and this is 3/4. So it may help, I don't know, maintain a better air pressure. But you can end up with those elbows and then a nice T, which I know you can't see. I have a T up on top going into my hose reel. So I really do like it. It's good stuff. Okay, so we were talking about the frame, full frame, and Roadster Shop. That's what we were looking for. So that's from I want to say Mark, make sure I'm right, and Ed telling Roadster Shop. Yeah. Jerry says on the live stream, I found the frame. Okay. Mr. Mikey, evening all, sitting on the veranda. Wow, that's a fancy word. In sunshine with a glass of tea. Well, I think if you're on a veranda, you're supposed to be sitting with a glass of wine, I think. Glad you're here. I don't drink wine, so I don't know. I don't know the difference. I mean, I know the difference between wine and tea, obviously, but. So Jerry was asking about the full frame. I think I've seen pictures of somebody using a full frame, but I've not seen one actually installed. So I don't know. I assume they make good product. I don't know. I really don't know. That's all I can tell. That's all I can say. It seems like it's a good idea. You know, nothing better than having a full frame under a car, I guess. I guess it might complicate some things, but I don't know. I have not looked at that at all, so I don't have a good answer. Now, the other things that I was talking about, I've got the PEX stuff going on. I've done some more test fitting here, and I've also, since Jade has left, we have opened up a little space up in the house garage. That's where Jade was sitting. So sometime tomorrow, I should be getting a load of parts from the owner of this car. And I'll be getting the the suspension and the engine, and I'm sure there'll be some other pieces and parts coming with that. And we're going to take advantage of that space up in the house garage, so that it's there. And when I'm ready to start putting those pieces on, they can go on. So as I was saying earlier, I have been fine tuning and test fitting the sheet metal on this. And today, I went ahead and I know you can't see it. I installed, or not as I temporarily installed, I test fit the back seat panel. And if you remember in the video, I talked about you can't put that in without if you welded everything together, you wouldn't get it in. Is what I'm getting at. Like, you couldn't fit it in between the quarter inner structure if you had welded all that together. So you can put it. I ended up putting in one side, and then I took the outer piece on the passenger side, the inner panel structure, and I was able to pull it away and slip that thing up in, because they kind of interlock on each other. And so once I got that in place, it really felt good. Like, I know I've said it before about the test fitting, and many times you can take stuff apart and put it back on, like fenders, doors, and I will say you could do it 10 times and it's going to fit different 10 times. It just seems that way. But this time, I put that back panel in, and then I started working my way forward and fine-tuning all the other pieces. And so, like, once I did that, everything seemed to fit like it was more like it was supposed to. Now, of course, I've already made adjustments. As you know, I've trimmed off some pieces and just modified whatever I needed to. But right now, honestly, this is the best it's fit, and I'm pretty happy with it. So, looking forward to getting some holes punched in it soon. I also went around and I was taking my Sharpie and indicating where I needed to, put holes, punch holes, so that I can, when I do weld it together, I already got a map laid out of where those are going to go. So it's feeling really good right now. Rick from Columbus, Ohio again. I love your work. I'm restoring 71 Mach 1. How do you feel about frame connectors? Glad you're here, Rick. I like frame connectors. They serve a purpose. I think they do. They help with the structure of the car. They help reinforce it. I have no complaints about frame connectors. The only complaint that I do have is the type of frame connector. So, whenever I was working on the floor pan for the 69, Charles had bought this kit from Spintac or something, and it was a light gauge metal intended to connect the rear or the floor support to the rear torque box area. And I think they're more cosmetic than actual structure. They were meant to look like a frame, as in the continuation of the floor support, and they were meant to have cutouts where the ribs were under the floor pan or in the floor pan. So like they were supposed to follow the cutouts of the floor pan, all that sort of stuff. So it looked like it was part of, let's say, a better design for Ford. However, that particular kit, I fought with those things. I was cutting pieces off. I was trying to get them in, and finally I gave up on them. And it's okay, because Charles's wife said, we're not going to use those anyway. I said, okay, fine. But there are other ones out there. In fact, there's some kits that are you make yourself. It's I forget what the dimensions are for the square tubing, but there's blueprints out there, or drawings, where you cut a V-notch at a certain distance, and then you cut another V-notch at another distance, and you can put a little bend in that thing, and then a little bit of an angle up, and it lines up really nice. I like those, and I feel like those are pretty well made, or because you make them yourself, but I like that setup. But then there's other ones out there that are pre-made that seem like they're just as good. So it's just one of those things where, do you want something that is manufactured and is supposed to fit, hoping it does, or you could also go and make your own from the square tubing and customize it so you know it'll fit your car. So those are the two options that I see. But yeah, I do like the frame connectors. Good question, Rick. Get a bonus bell. Let's see. Richard, what size compressor are you running? I have an 80-gallon, 5-horse, 2-stage. It's a cobalt compressor, and it does fine. It does fine. I kind of wish I would have went with a better brand, but until it, unless it dies, I'll just keep on running it. It works fine. In fact, I was at a yard sale this past weekend, and I was really tempted to buy. The guy had a 80-gallon air compressor that was, I think it was an ACS was the brand, and you could tell that was an industrial air compressor. It was not something you pick up at Lowe's or Tractor Supply. This was an industrial air compressor, and he was trying to sell it for like $500, because they were moving. And I was like, man, I don't have a place to put it. I would love to have that thing. It was an older model, but it was built like a tank. And he fired it up for me and everything, and it was like, oh, this thing is sweet. But I couldn't justify it because I don't have place. Probably couldn't fit it in where this other one is, just because it's taller, and it would be difficult. So I just had to pass on it. But that's what I have, is a Cobalt. Black GTX Roadster Shop makes a beautiful chassis and prices it accordingly. As I recall, they quoted $25,000 for one to fit my '58 Apache. Well, is that just a chassis, or is it like a rolling chassis? Is that suspension? I'm assuming that's everything. You roll it underneath, put some wheels on it. I don't know. Haven't looked at them, so. But yeah, I'm 25,000. Yep. Daryl, has anyone had any experience with Ron Morris adjustable motor mounts? My new 347 with air gap intake is 3/4 to an inch higher than my original 289 and hitting my hood. Now that I don't know if I haven't. So if somebody else has, by all means, give us some information. Help Daryl out. Good question. Okay, we have Amir Rizvi. How about that? Amir Rizvi. Hi, Amir from Pakistan. Really enjoy your work. Keep it going. Man, awesome. I know I've never had anybody here from Pakistan, so that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Isn't the world a small place sometimes, that we can have people from different countries show up and be part of the show and be part of the process? So yeah, awesome. I'm glad you like the stuff. Keep watching. Richard, thank you, Barry. I appreciate your help. You're welcome. And Mark says full roller. Okay. If that's got all suspension under it, and I'm assuming there's a way you can choose whether you want like Willwood brakes or Ford 9-inch, or I'm assuming there's a whole random like checklist you can go through to get what you want as far as an order form. So, Real, are you going to finish that 68 all the way to the end? I rewatched your fender comparison video, and I'm wondering how the dynacorn fenders fit. I can't remember if there was another vid on those. Yes. So the intent is to, at least when I understand everything, this should be a turnkey car when I'm done. So it's going to be a complete car, engine, transmission, everything will be put in. And of course painted. So yeah, it's going to be a turnkey. Now, I'm trying to get a hold of some other fenders just as a comparison right now. I'm waiting for that to process, but I'm looking at trying. Just I want to see a comparison between some fenders. I've got the fenders from the red car that I had. I have fenders on the other 68, but I also want to look at a set of dynacorn fenders, and so those should be coming as well. David, international recognition, you're famous. Yeah, well, yeah. You know, the thing is, I've had plenty of people from Australia, England, Romania, France, Sweden. So yeah, it is really kind of neat whenever you think about it. The fact that here I am, just a regular guy working in my garage, doing my thing, and putting out these videos, and people, around the world can watch them. And even if they don't have a car like I'm working on, they can still get something out of it in the way I look at it. And it's just really cool. It really is. You think back. I know I was a kid, grew up in the '70s. That never would have crossed my mind that something like that was possible. I think there was back in the '70s, one of the biggest performances or something that was watched by, I don't know, billions of people. I don't know. It was like Elvis's Hawaii tour, Blue Hawaii concert or something. But now today, we have instant technology. We have instant viewing, instant processing. I mean, it's like right now. Here I am talking to everybody, and it's in real time. There is no delay that I can think of. So it's pretty amazing how we've progressed in many cases. Some cases, not so much. Real Nautical also noticed a few times. I want to tell you that Jade videos all seem out of order and kind of random to go through. Yeah, I don't understand it either. And I don't know. I've tried to go back in and organize those things, and it is difficult. It really is. I don't understand why. I know I've tried to label all the videos and make them be in order and everything, and then whatever, I don't know, whatever happens with YouTube, how they do that sort of thing. I'll find the first video and go through, and it's like suddenly it goes from 12 to 15 or something. I'm like, well, where did the other ones go? Why did they move? I never moved them. They should be by the date that I put them in. Should be. So I get what you're saying. I've even struggled with that, and I've tried to go back in and straighten things out, but it's really difficult. At least for me, it is. Richard Barry needs a taller chair so we can see him over the chat bubble. Yeah, it's like, hey. Yeah. Oh, there was something else. Oh, yeah. So this past weekend, there's down the road from us is a farm and tractor show. Like, it's at a farm. And it's always kind of cool because they'll have obviously tons of tractors. They'll have trucks. They'll have steam-powered, things. I think I've actually done a video of that. I think it's Inman Farm and Tractor Show. And so we were down there. Roger and I went down on Saturday, and it's like a flea market in some ways, but some of the stuff they have there, obviously antiques. They've got stuff made in the 20s and 30s. Old. There was a road grader that was like, it wasn't powered. You had to hook it to something else and drag it, and that thing had to weigh, I don't know, 15 tons, 20 tons. It was a massive iron steel structure that was a tow behind road grader. They had a drag line there, an old drag line, all kinds of stuff. But what was really interesting is these little, I don't know what you call them, hit and miss engines. There's guys that show up with trailers that have a ton of these little hit and miss engines on them. I guess they used to use them for, like, powering water in a field somewhere, or I think they had just a variety of things. You've probably seen them. They have a flywheel, or they may have two flywheels on them, and they sit there and spin, and they're running, and you hear this. It'll just like chuk 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 pow, and it'll pop, and chuk 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 pow, and Roger and I were looking at these things, and it's like, well, how in the world does this thing even work? You see this flywheel turning, you see a gear turning underneath it, you see a rod moving back and forth, you see it's got a magneto on it, and all of a sudden it's like something coordinates and the spark fires and it kicks up speed again. And they had a few of these there. Now these things are messy too. They make there's a lot of oil needed to make them operate and keep them running. I've always wanted one of those, and I think they sell now, and I may end up getting one. They sell a little like a desktop version that'll run, and it's like a steam powered thing. It may be just electric, I don't know, but there's some that you can actually put fuel in, and you can spin the flywheel, and it'll cycle and run. But anyway, while we're walking around, there's all kinds of knickknacks and antiques and license plates, and I think I did pretty good. I passed by a place that had a whole bunch of matchbox size cars, and they had several little variations of fastback drag cars, so I had to get those. There was a Shelby convertible, so I had to pick that up. And there was a 69 Mustang race car replica. You know, always got to have these little things. And then, of course, the coolest one is an old Studebaker tow truck. You know, because we're all just big kids, right? We're all just big kids. You got to keep having these things. You gotta keep buying these little toys just to keep yourself interested, right? Robert, used to be a vendor that came to the swap meets here that sold root beer floats, and they used a hit and miss engine to power their ice cream machine. Now I like that. That's awesome. Roger, they have an antique machine shop set up, and the huge sheet metal brake was patented in 1893. Yeah, we were looking at that sheet metal brake, and it was like, it had to be 10 feet anyway, if not more. It was a 10-foot sheet metal brake. And then they had machines in there that operate a lathe that operates off the belts that go up, overhead. And it's just so cool to see that stuff. OSHA would not be willing to let you even walk in those places, but Dawn says, late to the party. Hello, folks, from sunny, warm PDX. Well, I'm glad to hear, Dawn. Beauty Thornburg, nice for making homemade ice cream, too. Yeah. Steel Ponies, yes, the hit-and-miss engines are amazing. Love those tractors as much as car shows. Yes. And, this place has been doing it for years and years and years. You could probably find it online. It's Ingalls, or not Ingalls. Now I missed the name of it. Anyway, it's Minter Farm. Inman, Inman. That's it. Inman is a little, like, sub-town. Like, used to be like a tiny little town. Inman Farm and Tractor Show. And they've got like a Facebook page, and they'll have stuff in there, like they have a steam-powered tractor that is like, it feels like it's the size of my garage with the big steel wheels on it and everything. And they will fire these things up and drag stuff around with them. And it is amazing. You see like 5 guys sitting on this thing, and it's chugging along at like half a mile an hour. And there's just really I love all that old stuff. It's really cool. Michael, I like the new Joe Daddy logo, by the way. I noticed it on your last YouTube post. Yeah. Well, that is, that's one I'm playing with. I have, let me see if it'll pop up. So this is the one that I've been, not that one. Where did it go? Yeah, this is, well, I want to pop up. There it is. So that's one I've been using, but I like this one Come on. That one's probably one that I will be using more. I think that's the one I was looking at. I don't know. There's a couple other ones that I've looked at. I've ordered some stickers. I want to see how they look when they show up, and I've also ordered a sign, just a regular, like a 12 by 12 sign, just to see how it looks in person, how the prints are. We'll find out. But thank you for that. Mr. Mikey, the steam engine burns a Nesbitt brand solid fuel cube, heats the HTO and steam runs the piston. Got one for Christmas in 1963. Wow. Cool. I've seen some, like I said, I've seen some new ones that are like a shiny brass material, and I've never. I know they took some sort of fuel, but that sounds interesting. That's cool. Jerry, I went to an Amish farm sale. They had a horse stall, which was elevated, and a horse making ice cream. I'm assuming the horse was walking on a treadmill or something. I assume. I've not seen that, so that would be interesting. Robert, I want to go to one of the steam-powered shows in England. Lots of steam tractors and trucks there, etc. That would be cool. Hugh P. Anyone know if the 67 Mustangs had the anti-howl spring on the drums? Anti-howl. Well, welcome, Hugh. I'm not sure what the anti-howl spring would be, so I don't have an answer for you on that. Hugh, there's a guy close to me that restores those steam-powered tractors. He enters them in local truck and tractor pools for fun. They are massive and heavy. They are. They're incredibly heavy. And, you know, as we're going to these tractor shows, there will be people driving around on massive tractors. I mean, big tractors. And they're just driving around the whole thing. And they'll have kids on there and stuff like that. And it makes me nervous because I'm assuming it's going to stop. And I'm assuming the guy's paying attention. But if not, you're going to have a mess. Because one of those tractors runs over somebody, there's not much recovery from that. So it always makes me nervous. But they will drive these things around. And then they'll also have, towards the end of the day or whatever, they will do a parade. And they'll have an announcer. And like they had a band there and everything. It was really cool. And the people will pull up on their tractors and they'll stop. And the guy will talk to them and say, hey, tell us more about it. And so they gives them a description of it, where they got it, and all these different things. And then they drive it on past. And so everybody likes to see him doing that. So Jerry says, yes. Okay, so the horse was on a conveyor belt. Okay. And Hugh, I know that what Jerry's talking about, we have Amish here. Yeah. Ed, no on the drum springs. No on the drum springs. Okay. I'll just go with that. Michael, I am trying to get my hands on Nordic Lodge coins. They have coins? I did not know they had coins. So is it like a collectible coin, I guess? I don't know. I know their logo has like a Viking or something on it. Like a guy, I think, still had like a Viking with the big Viking horns on it. So, interesting. And Simone, hooked on classics. Hi, Barry and chat. Hi, Simone, from the UK. So another international viewer. We've had quite a variety tonight, which is awesome. And I need to get one more sip of coffee going. So, at this point, as I said, tomorrow should be arriving more parts, or more parts should be arriving. Let's put it that way. for this project. But I'm going to continue to block sand on the Mach 1. I need to get everything done and have it ready so when the weather does get nice, I can just start spraying. Also, let me point this out. I had somebody send me this recently. And this is a pretty thick book. Now, I have some of these other ones which are more of a, like this is the chassis version, 68 Mustang chassis assembly manual. I think I have another one here somewhere for maybe for a different year. But as I was talking previously about in some of my videos, how many welds go where and all that sort of thing, apparently it's covered in here. So this one, I'm surprised because I've seen other versions of these and the prints are not very good. And these are actually well done. Like the old ones, the print is kind of blurry and it's hard to read. But this one is redone very nicely. So Ron had sent me this, and I thank him for that. This one is pretty good, but like the wording is smaller, so it's kind of hard to read, and the lines aren't quite as crisp. You know, it's weird too when you open these up. There's a glue in the center, and it just breaks loose. These pages they don't stay like bound like a regular book. But I will be using those for information moving forward on different things. Okay, hold on a second. Let me pull up. I see I got an email supposedly coming in. Gotta give it a second. Oh, now I know what you're talking about. Okay. I didn't know that was the name of it. So, let me see if I can pull that in. Okay, so we were talking about the anti-howl spring. And this is what we're talking about. That spring that goes on the outside of the drum. I didn't know that's what that was called. So I don't remember the exact question. I know it was something about a 67. I don't know if it's supposed to have them or not. But I didn't know that was what that was called. So I learned something today. Thank you, Hugh. I've seen them before. I just didn't know what that... didn't know what it was called. Here you go. Real. Another random question. Looking at 68 behind you. What the heck do the wires... Wait. Where the heck do the wires go? Access the core support. My 66 has two obvious spots, but my 68 does not. Well, there's an opening in the core support at the bottom. Now, I know on Jade, there was, in the front, there were clips that went onto the core support. And there's holes up here on the front. And I'm pretty sure that's where those clips go. And so the wire went through the firewall and then rode on the top of that as like a shelf. And there were clips that snapped on there. Pretty sure that's how they are. I was just looking at the 69. It has those same holes in the core support. So there should be a clip that snaps in, and then the wire gets caught in it, and it holds it across the front. At least that's what my memory says, and I'm pretty sure that's right. Good question, though. Richard, those factory assembly manuals are awesome. Yes, I'm seeing that. I like it. Mr. Mikey, the current Haggerty magazine had a nice article on cars in merry old England. Interesting. So Hugh, I sent you a picture of the anti-howl. Yes, I saw that. And again, I didn't know that's what it was called, but we now have the picture. Like I said, I learned something. It's always good to learn things. Jerry, I wish the chat box would float without moving out of the left picture frame. I don't know what that means. Because mine, whatever I see is right here, as I see it. It's like just at the bottom of the screen. So I don't know what you're seeing. I don't know, Jerry. Can't help you there. Sorry. Michael, the coins get you a day worth of food. I got one from a sales rep. Just need to get a few more. Maybe they'll get used as a bribe. So I mean, I guess you buy the coins. I'm assuming. I don't know. But you never know. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. Probably in the next few weeks, or maybe the end of this month, I'm going to be doing another one of my road trips. And the idea is I'm going to be helping somebody out with their project. There's a guy down in Florida who's got a 69 that he's building, and he's asking for some help. So I'm probably going to head down that way over a weekend and see if I can't square him away with what he has going on. I know that I know that there's always a challenge trying to get sheet metal line up, and he needs some help. So I'm gonna head down there, probably do some video while I'm there, and see if I can't get his car straightened up. So that should be interesting as well. Jerry says, when I move the chat box to comment, you move out of the view. Huh. Yeah, they might have done. I know that they've updated something here, because I have an additional little box on the side. I don't know what it does. I mean, it shows up. I can click on that box and it'll. I don't understand what it does, but it's just something they did. They update things, and you got to figure out what they did. Oh man, I thought you were coming. Oh, sorry, Hugh. I thought you were coming to Ohio to help me find my vibration. I don't think I can make it. Mr. Depressed Cat Sherman says hi. I'm sorry. That's pretty funny. Welcome. And Rick says, on the way home from dinner, just want to drop in and say hello. Okay. Awesome. Don't forget your ice cream. Got to have your ice cream. Okay. That's really where we're at right now. Unless there's we've got some other questions or comments that we need to deal with. I know it's the time change is it messes me up, and I'm glad though that I know it means summer's coming. It means we're going to be getting some good weather and be able to take advantage of that. And I know for me personally, a lot of times the night's over and I need to go for a walk. Like I need to just relax myself, and I'll go for a walk for 2 or 3 miles, just to kind of key down from how I am. It helps me, chill out to go for a walk. So a lot of times I like to have the, daylight for that purpose. But okay, we got Robert. Well, that's a different name. Robert Liebentritt. Liebentrit. That's my guess. Greetings from Wyoming. Well, greetings, Robert. I'm glad you're here. Now we have 68 people watching. That's awesome. Liebentrit. That's definitely a different name. Glad you're here. Doyle, late, but here. Hey, everyone. Well, welcome, Doyle. Glad you're checking in. Let's see. Anthony Acevado. I'm guessing. Acevado. Wanted to thank you for responding to my email. While car is at shop getting metalwork done, do you recommend stiffening the shock towers, or is the export brace with pig trough braces? I'm guessing. Okay, so the question is, do you recommend stiffening the shock towers, or is the export brace with, I guess, pig trough braces? Okay, so if you're asking, put in the shock tower or the export brace. That's a good idea. That makes them really good and solid. And it doesn't hurt to put in. I'm assuming you're talking about, the braces go behind control arms. Yes, I did that on the 69. It helps, but I think in those cases when you weld that in behind the shock tower, as you're saying, or the control arm. I'm sure it helps some, but it's probably more beneficial if you're like really road coursing this thing or putting in some high stress loads. If you're just driving the car around, it's not making much difference. But I would still put in the export brace. That's a good thing to do. Really makes everything nice and keeps everything in alignment and stiffens it up. But I'm saying it's just say it's optional on the as far as the extra bracing on the troughs. At least my opinion. Hey, Macco Man, got to go work on Strutter. Okay, glad you were here. Mr. Depressed Cat, can we see the car? You talking about this car? I'll move out of the way. If you want, that's all I can show you really. It's the front section of the 68 Fastback. I mean, I could probably turn this camera some. There you go. And then my lights over here on the side gets in the way. Let me back that up. There. So there's the main body of the car, and up there is the 69 Mach 1. That's my Mach 1. So yeah, if you're just checking in, Mr. Depressed, start looking at my videos. There's a ton of videos on YouTube on my channel. This car is a 68 Fastback that I'm basically hand building. This is known as Fangled. And then there's also the 69 Cobra Jet that I'm doing that's called the Crunchy Cobra. And the other car that I have done recently was my 68 Mustang, known as Jade. And so that's a 68 coupe that I did and I recently sold. But yeah, there's a ton of, tons of videos on YouTube. Plenty to see on there. Plenty to see. Okay, so Hugh, I walk my 3 Great Danes every evening to unwind, so we have something in common. Yeah, I just gotta, I guess, unwind and actually maybe burn off a little more energy when I'm doing that stuff. So we entered Anthony's. Real says just send an email. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up. If it'll let me. I may have to delete something. Oh, I have to delete something. Hold on. I'll delete that. I don't know what it is. So he sent me this picture, and I'll pull the picture up and pull down his comment. So that looks let me see what the email says. How hard do you think this would be to fix? Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at when you say to fix. You talking about on the right side where it has some rust? Is that the question? I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm just speculating. So let me know what you're actually asking. So I'm going to pull it back down real quick. Mercury Man Garage and Outdoors. Good evening, all. Nice weather here in Michigan. Thinking about getting the cyclone out. Ooh, that would be fun. Do it. Is that what's in your thumbnail? Ah, I like it. I like that. That's a cool car. Anthony says, thank you. You're welcome. Marine. I see the garage door installation you mentioned is doing its job. It will keep the cool inside too. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely looking forward to see how it does in the summer. Troy Siegel. That's my guess. Siegel. You were the first channel I started watching and inspired me to jump on my project. Just want to say thanks. Awesome. Love to hear that. I love to hear that people are getting inspired and working on their cars because they're seeing that what I'm doing. I think that a lot of people get overwhelmed. They'll dig into a project, or they think, oh, I can't do that. It's too hard, or I'd rather pay somebody else to do it. Those sort of things. And a lot of it, when you think about somebody saying, oh, I'm going to fix it up one day, and then they don't, because they become either lackadaisical or they just give up on it, or they think it's too much work. But I've shown in many of my videos, and I try not to make it like, and I hate to, I'm not showing it from a high-end professional shop. What I do, I show you how I do it. And some stuff I improvise, some stuff I modify or improve upon. There's a lot of pro shops that will do things a lot differently than I will. And I think I'm more in tune with what the home builder wants to do. So I'm glad you're getting involved and working on your project. That's awesome. Yes, rot on the top right. Okay, so you're talking about this rust. I can't see it very well. That's an odd place for rust. Let me start out by saying that. Is it repairable? Yeah, it is. What you may end up doing, you may have to create a new flange, let's say. So, without seeing it in person, I wouldn't want to cut it out and cut a channel out and then weld a new piece in necessarily without knowing the condition of it. Like if there's more rust going all the way to the edge. So what I might do is make a piece and fold it over so that it creates a new flange. So basically you'd end up with something like this. So you've got a short flange on the bottom and a longer piece on top. And that way you control it more when you're putting it in, and you don't have two welds to deal with. So if you're doing it like a strip, you're gonna have to weld a box back into it, and you have to do body work anyway. But if you do it as a channel piece, then you just have this edge and the top, front, and back, and the bottom side you can tack in. So just kind of how I might look at doing it. Just get a piece of sheet metal and find a good edge that you can use to fold it over on and create your own little replacement piece. At least that's what I see at this point. So, good question. Daryl says, what size of engine will be going into 68? This is going to have a Coyote in it. That's the plan. Coyote engine. So Hugh is saying, unless that's an original hood and you want to stay original, that's just a deluxe hood with the turn signals. You can buy that for about $200. That is true. That is true. Rick Hawley, I don't know, Rick, I don't know what I don't know. Ohio, any suggestion on leaf springs, four leaf, 4 or 5 leaf, I guess. Has anyone ordered them from Kentucky Mustang? Thanks. Um, and Hugh comments, a 5 leaf spring is stiffer, causes a rougher ride. Yep. Now I did order a set. Uh, One of my later Jade videos, I replaced the leaf springs, and I don't remember if they were from Kentucky Mustang or CJ Pony. I don't remember which. And I don't remember if they were 4 or 5 leaf, to be honest. But I know that I changed those out and I put some softer shock absorbers under it, and it changed the whole ride. It rode much, much better. The shocks that were under it were very, very stiff shock. And so I used just some basic cheap shocks, and it rode so much nicer down the road. Hey, Macro Man, at one time maybe a battery blew up, causing that rust on the hood. Yeah, that's a very odd location for rust. Very odd. Robert, what independent front suspension are you installing on in the car behind you? This is, I believe it's a TCI suspension. Sort of have a Mustang 2 set up on it. Same kit that I did on the convertible, from my understanding, 66 convertible project. So you can go back and look at that if you want. But that's what's going to end up underneath this. Del Marino, I thought the same thing on a battery leak. Yeah. And Denny, has anyone used a 4.5 leaf spring? I don't know. I have not seen. I don't know. Maybe an option. I know that I did a video. Like I said, I put replaced the rear end under Jade. I put the standard 8-inch rear end under it, and I put all new leaf springs, all new brakes, everything underneath that car. And of course, it's no longer here. So anyway, okay. I think we're getting close to a stop point. Maybe not. Doyle, do you paint the door jambs with 2K, and how do you sand? There is found out I have ADHD, auto dismantling, and hoarding disorder. I spray it with the same stuff, the same high build primer that I use for everything else, and basically just hand sand it. I've got soft foam blocks that I will get in there and get into the radiuses and all that sort of thing. Same thing I always do with any of the paint work. Same process. So really nothing changes for me. It's always going to be the same deal. Okay, we're going to call it a night. I'm going to get in the house and get something to eat. Definitely enjoying the time change. I don't see why we couldn't keep it this way. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know. But there's only one way to find out. Let the government make that decision for us, right? Okay. That'll be it for tonight. I will have another video out next week, and I'm not sure what it'll be just yet. Because I know you're all excited about the block sanding. I know you love watching me block sand. But it may be something else entirely. But we'll figure that out as the week progresses. So that'll be it for tonight. I'll be back next Monday at 7 o'clock. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.